Hey everyone, it's Mark with the Fabric Hut, and welcome to another edition of a sew along. I have a great guest with us today. Her name is Libby Christensen. She is a pattern developer, quiltist, all textiles, an excellent resource. We've had her on before, and we're going to be working with a kind of a baby dream quilt or a small strip quilt using the Morning Mist collection that we have. Now, you'll see these on our website. These are 2.5-inch strips. They're about 10 inches long, and they're very versatile. Instead of giving you that long strip, these are a little bit more manageable, and you get a few more variants in color and style. And so the pattern and the project that we have for you today is built off of multiple packs of these, and they're available in our shop. And I will show you the and link that product for you throughout the show a few times. Also behind me is Quilt of our Honor and Valor quilt, new pre-kit quilt kit that is now on pre-sale and will be shipping very soon. If you are here, just give me a hey, hi in the chat and let me know that you're here, and we will get the show started here just in a moment. Let me know where you are watching from as well. Super important that we do that, just so I know what time zones everyone's in, and we'll get rolling with that as soon as possible. Yep, and Pam is coming to us from Omaha. Thanks for joining us, Pamela. Appreciate you being here today. It is a beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. And like I said, we'll give folks just a minute or two to get into the room and get settled in. Grab your favorite beverage. It is just noon here on the West Coast. I know it's around 3 p.m. on the East Coast, and wherever, of course, the time zone's a little different wherever you are. But Penny's joining us from Minnesota. We appreciate you joining us, Penny. And again, we're going to be working with these small strips here, the Morning Mist collection. Just a fun pack. Multiple packs to make larger projects, but this is a great quick project that we have for you today. All right. Without any further ado, I'm going to bring Libby onto the stage, and I'm going to turn it over to her, and she is going to walk you through kind of a project that she came up with using these strips.
Hi, I'm Libby Christensen, and I'm here from SoGoCreate.com. When I saw this gorgeous collection, I just had to do a pretty little quilt with it. It is so beautiful. When I first looked at the picture online, it looked a little bit blue, but if you really see it in person, it's definitely green, but it's this gorgeous, soft teal, beautiful teals and mints. It is just so summery, so springy. And I don't know about you, but I get a little cool sometimes in the air conditioner, so I can use a little quilt in the summer as well as in the winter. I love how this comes. It is just so lovely to be able to open up and have these beautiful strips. Now, take a look at some of the strips close up. They're just really pretty, each one of these. But when you look at them and you say, well, I want to do something with them, you think to yourself, okay, what can I do? And my challenge today was dealing with, first of all, how do I do any kind of pattern when I have all these beautiful different pieces? I mean, what sort of pattern do I come up with? The second part of my challenge is, after you get a pattern going, how do you really put these together? We're used to 2.5-inch squares, but what do you do with these strips? These strips are a little different. They're not, they're 2.5 inches like the jelly rolls, but they're mini strips. So they're cut to 10 inches. And so you have these beautiful mini strips. And then what I did first, my very first thought was, let's see what I have. Once I see what I have, I can start working with it. But then finally you get it finished and the question becomes, uh-oh, I have many strips. How am I going to do a binding? So those are the 3 parts of the challenge, but I took them on and I've got a pattern that works. If you look here, down here, you'll see what I'm doing. The very first thing I do is to take them and actually sort them out. Yes. I did dark. What is this? Is this darker? I'm going to just for now say medium. Oh, here's another dark. This one, no, I'm going to put that with dark, and this one dark. Basically, what I did is I went through and anything that had a green background, I called it dark. This one, I suppose it could be medium. I'm not too thrilled with this one. I really wanted all flowers, so I'm going to put that aside. I may use it later. This one is slightly different color, but it is a teal, and we'll put that with dark. I've got a lot of dark here. You know why? Because in my quilt, I used up a lot of the whites. But if you keep looking, you'll find some lights. Now, this is green, but it's a light green. So I'm going to put those 2 here. And, oh, look at here. We have a white one with a bunny. And this one is so cute. I'm going to put that definitely with the light. We'll put this aside. And I'm just going to go through the whole thing. And I'm just going to pile them up so that I know what I'm working with. And I found there were quite a few light ones. As you can see, here are a couple more light ones down here. Okay, right there. So there really were quite a few light ones. So I had light, medium, and dark. Now I'm going to pretty much right now just keep the medium aside for if I need it, because it could go into light or dark. I'll put that one aside. And then I do my pattern like this. Now, what do we do when we're quilting? We would normally pick up a color and say, okay, this is my print. Now, if I do a print like this, what would I normally do is I'd say, okay, it has a lot of white. I might need a solid in this green or a little darker green. Might even want a tiny bit of the yellow or the orange and put those in as accents. But this quilt has already been done for you. So you've got all these things, and how do you put them together? So I just decided, because they're all in one, pretty much one color group in mint and teal, instead of dealing with the accent colors, instead of dealing with color for a pattern, I just went with light and dark, because that gives you a pattern as well. So I took these and I sort of figured out, okay, what can I do to make a pattern with just light and dark? And this is what I came up with. Notice we've got light in the middle and of course dark on the edges. It doesn't hit you in the face, but there is contrast. Another thing I did is I tended to put one in the middle that's just a little bit more medium, a little bit more color to it. That way I've got the whites or the lighters on the edge, and when you have them on the edge, they're going to make more contrast with the dark. So this is my first block. Is that easy or what? You simply take 7 strips and just sew them together. Hello, easy. I love it. You now have a pretty good sized block, and it was so easy to put together. By the way, these come out of the package and you don't have to iron them. They may have a little bit of not a fold, but because of the way they're wound in, there's not a crease at all. You can go straight to your sewing machine with them. And then any bit of fold that there was will come out when you press your blocks. Now, this was one block, super easy. So how do I do something that varies? Because in order to have a pattern, you have to have a little bit of variation. But I just kept it very simple. And I started again with 5 strips. Notice they're all light. And then I'm thinking, okay, these are 2.5 by 10, right? So wouldn't 2.5 times 4 make 10? Sure it would. No, it wouldn't. Don't forget, we have to allow for seams. So I'm thinking, oh, the 2.5 becomes 2, right? So 5 times 2 would make 10, right? Makes sense? Uh-oh, we got an issue. You see the issue? What actually happens is that you still have a little bit on both sides because you haven't done those seams. So it doesn't match up. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Maybe we can trim the sides. No, but then you end up having strips that are skinny on the sides, and you also end up having to do all that extra work. We don't want to have to trim. So I went to the thinking board again, and I came up with something a little different, something I've not really seen most people do, but it works. I took this and I sewed, and you can see the outer seams here, outer seams on the edge, where my finger is right there, were my 1/4 inch seams. I went back and tried 3/8 inch. Now it has to be a scant 3/8. If you heard, okay, scant 3/8, and you put that together, and that will take care of that extra, and it will actually make these so that it fits, because, okay, I've started to do that on this one, but you've got that little bit, that extra little 1/2 inch, and what's going to end up happening is that you'll have an extra 1/8 inch on 2 of them, so you'll have basically an extra 1/4 inch, which is what you're going to, you're going to go down a 1/4 inch, which is what you're going to need to make it match. So you've got to match it up to make sense. Now, I know that's a little bit against all the rules because quilters always do a 1/4 inch. In fact, if you look at a quilter's quilting foot, here's mine. If you look at a quilting foot, it's actually made for a 1/4 inch seam. It actually, so the edge of it, as you're coming down and sewing, the edge is going to go right along the fabric where you do the 1/4 inch seam. The problem is you need it just a tiny bit different. And I found in mine, now I know it's different. Trust me, I know. I've sewn on different machines. This happens to be Bernina, but if you have another machine, you can check your own foot to see. But I found that there was a little gap here. See if I can show it on the back here. It's right in the back, and see, it sticks out just a tiny bit more. I followed that one. That is actually amazing because it actually was in there. The other thing you can follow is, again, this varies from machine to machine, but I found that there was actually a 3/8 inch going right along the edge here. So you can actually take a little ruler and measure where the needle is and where your 3/8 is, and just kind of mark it in your mind. I've even had people put a little bit of tape on it. I don't think I'd do that, but you could. What you want to do is just know where it is and then keep your eye on the seam. That's where people who are not used to quilting don't understand how important it is to keep your eye always on that seam line. Make sure that you're doing the right thing. Now, once you know where that is, you can go back and sew these correctly for this particular quilt and do your little scant 3/8. Did you have something, Mark?
Yeah, so
What
if
I'm
you're
going to
going
do
to a 3/8, oops, sorry. So folks, we're having a little technical difficulty. Libby's not able to hear me, even though I know that we're getting this out. But what I wanted to share with you is you can run over to the website and pick up the seam guide and magnetic seam guide with the ruler, which will help you set those automatically. So if you do move away from a 1/4 inch seam and you need to move into a different size, whether it be scant or a 3/8, but this covers all
Yes,
of the
I can
various
see he's
ones that
showing you
need.
one of those plates. I have one of those. You can put it on. You've got a wonderful way to just follow that 3/8 inch if you get one of those.
So that's
And it's
available
a
on the
little bit
website as well.
easier. Now I am going to just sew this up and show you that by adding that tiny little bit, it's going to make it work. I'm so used to my other machine that I okay. While I'm pinning this back in place, don't forget always when you sew, you want to be sure to press your seams and make them all work nicely and neatly underneath, which I'm not going to do now because this has been pressed already, I can assure you. Well, anyway, I now have this. I now have this ready so that I can do the next. I've done my little, my 3/8. I have it all fitting and I'm going to do the next block. And that's going to be this one where you have these to start with and you turn it horizontally. Now now this one hasn't been fixed yet, but what'll happen is when I get this all fixed, it'll all fit across there. And then I will add another light color on the end. And that will give me, let's see, this one. He's gonna, right here. Light, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, light. Now on this one, we had 7 across, okay? This one, we had 5 across. Notice the 7 across, okay, is vertical. The 5 across is horizontal. And that's where we get our design. We've got horizontal, vertical, horizontal, next row, vertical, horizontal, vertical. So we basically have a checkerboard pattern. And that gives the quilt a little movement, a little variety, using just 2 blocks. Now, the next thing about the design, though, is that I added a little bit of variation in here. While this one has the dark on either side, see here and here, this one was supposed to have a light. I changed it and just added in a medium here. It happened that there were a bunch of these solid ones, kind of medium, and those are what I selected. So on these, I'm sorry, on this one, which should have been white on both sides or light on both sides, I actually put a solid on one side, and then I made sure that that was the one that came on the side of the quilt and on this side of the quilt. So now I have a medium dark going on the edge. And what happens there is it makes the quilt, it defines the quilt a little bit more to have those darker shades on the edge. So that actually works out with my pattern using the 3/8 seams, and I continued 3/8 seams everywhere on the quilt top, 3/8 seams everywhere. I know it's strange, but it works. And sometimes you just have to make it work. Now, next problem. What do we do about the binding? As I said, we don't have any long strips. Can you go out and buy some other fabric and make long strips? Sure, if you want to. You could take whatever you're using for the backing and make long strips. But why bother? when you've got these lovely little strips here, and you can make them work. And if you actually can see, these are darks. And guess what happened? When I did these, I used up most of the lights, but I had plenty of darks left. And that makes a much better border because you get, if you can see, you can really get some definition around the edge of the quilt. It's subtle, but it's there. And that kind of, it's sort of like putting a mat on a picture frame, on a photo. Put a mat on a photo or a mat on the picture, and that sort of gives it definition. But I want to show you how I put these together. If you want to just sew them together, short sides together, that's okay. But what's going to happen there is you're going to get a lot of thick seams along here on the border. And that will not happen if you put them on diagonally. So that's my next little tip to dealing with these. I'm going to sit at the machine and show you how to do that. It's very simple. We're going to go down and we're going to take two of the borders. Notice it's dark. It's dark. I've done some darks together, and that's where I worked in, by the way, that's where I worked in the checks that I didn't like as much and worked them into the border. Okay, so I've got some darks, but if you'll notice, here, maybe you can see better on this one. See how that's sewn in on a diagonal? Well, it's just exactly like you do those half square triangles. In order to get that diagonal, you're going to put the blocks, the strips together, and you're going to sew a seam. They've got to be face up, right? So that when they go together, you're sewing on the back. And what you're going to do, though, is you're going to line them up. Remember your geometrical terms? And that's, you're going to put them perpendicular. One is horizontal. The new one I'm putting on is vertical. I've got a pin to hold them. And then what you can do is take a straight edge. It doesn't even have to be a ruler, but we all have rulers handy. And maybe you can come in and watch. What did I do with the, it's right here. Okay, now I'm using a Pilot Friction is well it's spelled, pen. These are the kind that you can get in office supply stores. They're by Pilot. They're everywhere. It's erasable. They say they're erasable with heat. So they erase with an iron. And I'm going to go from the edge, on the edge here. And if you come above me, you'll see, okay, that I'm making a line here. And what I'm doing is I'm putting these diagonal, and I'm going from the top corner to the corner where it's meeting. Actually, I may be off just a little, so that's okay. I will fix it. Okay. Now I've got a nice line to follow. Now, there are some people who might try to do this by eye. I wouldn't suggest it. I can do an inch or so, but when I start getting this far, I don't want to do it by eye. I really want to do it here. Oh, it would help if my thread hadn't come out, but that's okay. You know, we have the technology to. I don't have a threader here. I'm sure that I mean there are threaders available for sure. I just don't happen to have one at my machine at the moment. So there we go. Okay. By the way, if you need a threading tip, one of the things you can do is put a white card behind the eye, and then what happens is you can see with a white card or white paper behind it, you can see the eye better when you're trying to thread something. Okay. Now, that's all we had to do is that 2.5 inch. And when you sew at an angle like that, what you're going to get is a diagonal. You've got some flop here. Sometimes quilters call those ears. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead. Now you could do this at the beginning, as you go, or you can do it later. I like to actually trim them off. I kind of like a larger scissors because I don't have to make as many cuts across. Just trim it off to your 1/4 inch seam. And now you have a very nice, and you continue doing this on and on and on. And notice these I haven't trimmed. You could wait and trim them all at the end if you want. You take them to your chair, trim them off, or you can do it like this as you go. Up to you. But now you have this lovely long length. And what you're going to do is make enough for the binding. In the pattern that I'm working on, I'll tell you how many you need for the quilts, but I just wanted you to see how to do it. It's not hard. Now, the other thing I want you to see is why you do it. And right here, when you get ready to do your binding, the first thing you do is you're going to fold it over and press it. This is a French binding, and then you sew it down, and you can pull it over the edge and then whip it. Now, I actually sew mine from the back and pull it to the front and top stitch, but that's up to you. But what I wanted you to see is when you've got a diagonal seam, look at where the seams come. There's one over here, but the other one's over here. So now those seams are not in the same place, so it's not as bulky. Now they will lie down. You can press those actually you can even press them open in this case because you're not meeting them with another seam. So you press them open and they're nice and flat and plus they look cute because now you have that cute little diagonal. Now, one thing is be careful, make sure in order to make all those diagonals come off the same way, make sure that when you're sewing them, make sure you're going from the edge to edge the same way. I don't care if you go that way or that way, just keep them. You want it, in order for them all to be the same on the front, you want them all going the same on the back. So keep that in mind. Couple other things. What if you have, actually, if you have some fabric you can't see very well, one thing you can do is if you don't want to mark it, one thing you can actually do that I've done before is just do that like that and turn it over like that. And you can actually press that in place. Once it's pressed in place, you can sometimes see the pressing line and you can follow that. So you can do a marker, you can do the pressing, whatever you like to do. And so that's what I'm doing for this. Now let's go back to the quilt and look again to see what all happens. First of all, you've got your beautiful blocks here. Now you're going to put them in rows. Remember, I started with horizontal, so I went horizontal, vertical, and then vertical, and then horizontal, and then here's the next one that will be up. But I want you to look at this size. 1, 2, 3, 4. That actually is a pretty good size for a little baby, if you want a baby quilt, because I really think this sweet fabric, and it would be really pretty. Now, one other thing I want to point out that you can do is you can focus on, like if you have a flower that you want to stick out, like this flower, you can actually kind of put that in the middle. See, I put this in, even though it was light, I did not put the darker. I tended to put the medium shades kind of in the middle, so it went from light to darker to light again. But in some cases, I actually would pick one and say, hey, this is light, but it has a focal point. But this is the one I want you to see. If we can get a close-up of that. It's a bunny. I don't know if you can see, but this right here is a bunny. And so I put him, not only did I put him in the middle of this block, I put him so he'd be in the middle, or her, got a bow on his ear, her ear, pink bow. Anyway, I put that right in the middle of the quilt so you could really focus on that little bunny. Again, it won't be obvious, it's subtle. And then when we add in, we're going to get a longer quilt. have this perfectly lined up, but it'll work. There we go. Something like that. Okay. It's not flat on here, but you see it's longer. I don't know, you may have to back up to see it, but now we've got really one that's big enough for a crib or big enough for a throw. And if you want to, you can certainly do one more. I think I would go with this. You can do these two. You can do 1, 2, 4, or 5 out of 4 packages. And go with 5 packages if you want to go with any longer quilt. And you might, if you want to throw quilt, there's no reason why it can't be longer and really cover you up a lot better than just lap. So it's really up to you. As I say, either 4 packages, 5 packages. Notice you don't have to buy anything else except the backing, and your backing is up to you. If you want to use a binding with your backing, that's okay with me. But if you want to do this one, I have all the instructions and pictures and all of the numbers for how many pieces are needed in the pattern. The pattern is on my computer at the moment. I wanted to finish the quilt first and take a photo to put on the pattern, and I am planning to publish it coming up this Saturday. I will go with Saturday, and I'll just make myself do it. I called it Misty Morning because I made it with the morning mist strips. They are called mini strips. They're 10 inches long. So I think that's really all I had. It was to see how easy it was today.
Excellent job, Libby. And again, I know she can't hear me, but she did a wonderful job on the show here, just showing you how versatile this kit or this package of morning mist is. And this is what she'll call Misty Morning. And it'll be on her website again on Friday. I think if we get the link, Ricardo will probably put that out in a message over the weekend, or we'll post it on our Facebook and our socials, and we'll come back to these here to both the Facebook and the YouTube and post that link in there as well for you. And Susan's saying that that's the same material used for a jelly roll rug. Yeah, and Susan would probably be able to tell us, and maybe she will in chat, how easy it is to use the 10-inch strips. Rather than, you can do the long sewing, but sometimes just laying out and visually getting to blocks is a huge help when you have the smaller strip pieces already cut for you and you're not dealing with it. But this is a fun collection. It's available on the website. I showed you in chat where that is. You can always just go to the Fabric Hut, www.thefabrichut.com, and look under strips. We also talked about the seam guide ruler, right? The seam guide ruler is really helpful. So in this situation, you were needing to not use the quarter-inch seam, but use the Scant 3/8. And this is a really great tool, along with and I keep putting it back because I sometimes use it on my machine, the guide. So this is a strong magnetic guide. Once you set the ruler up, right, and you put the needle in the hole, then you snap that on to your machine. When you take it away, this is where your fabric's going to go. And that's a real big help, especially when you're doing odd seams or you're trying to do things like Scant. And you want to make sure you're consistent every single time. It is a great little crutch, and it's something that I think every person could use. If not, use a piece of blue painter's tape or stack your Post-it notes. Those are great hacks as well. So with that, we want to thank Libby for having the show, showing us this layout. Again, that Misty Morning pattern will be up on her website later on this week. We'll post that information for you here. I do appreciate you joining us and being here with us today. If you like it, give us a thumbs up hit the like button on the video. We hope to bring more of these to you each and every week. We rotate different folks, and we will be back again with another one soon. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your week, okay?